Hi folks, welcome back to Hanbleceya Ranch. My name is Jason, and in today's video I'm going to show you guys how I am using this General Electric Harbor Freight Chainsaw Sharpener. Truth be told, we've owned this thing for quite a few years, but up until just a couple days ago it has been sitting on a shelf, well, in a bin. Now that we've got our shop up and running, I've gotten this thing out. I just want to kind of walk through with how we're setting it up and how we're using it and how we think of it. There are 101 videos out there on this exact sharpener, and some that are just extremely informative. But since we are new to this, I wanted to give you my take on it and kind of walk through how I set it up. A guy with zero experience in any of this. So let's get started. So this is the chainsaw sharpener that I picked up from Harbor Freight quite a few years ago. I picked it up thinking that it would be a good idea since I did not know how to sharpen my chains by hand, because I've never had to. And after sharpening several chains and trying them out on the chainsaw, I freaking love this thing. It took a few minutes to get it set up and kind of dialed in, but once I had it dialed in, I mean, it really is a piece of cake to sharpen these. Now, it's important to note, though, that this will only sharpen the tooth. You still have to come behind and file down your rake, but I'll show you how I do that here in just a minute. So the first thing I'm going to show you guys is how I set mine up, how I mounted it, because there are a few different ways you can do that. So you have these two bolt holes here, and it is designed to be bolted down. So what I did is I took a piece of pine, I drilled holes, bolted it in, and on mine I have the wing nuts. These are wing nut bolts, so it's easy for me to take it off if I need to. The one thing I will say is when you're bolting this down, you got to make sure that you give enough room for this dial down here, because you are going to be having to loosen this and tighten it when you go to change your angle of your cut. The other thing is you want to leave enough space from the edge of where the chain's going to hang down. I've seen a couple of videos where they mount it and this chain is actually on the wood, or it's on the bench that they're using. So make sure you want to leave enough space here so that this hangs freely. From there, all I did is use some clamps and I clamped it to my bench. Now this line here is actually attached to this little handle, and that is the brake. I'm going to go ahead and squeeze and you'll see what it does. So it's going to squeeze and press up against the chain. Now when you first get this, if it's anything like mine, this is not connected. So it just feeds through a hole through here. The threads here are actually attached to the line, and then you just put this nut on it and tighten it up. You want to make sure it's nice and tight, because when you go to squeeze this, you do want that chain tight. So once you have it mounted, the next step is to get the chain guide itself set up. Now this is the guide. I've already got a chain in here. All right, so this is the guide here for your chain. There's a couple of things here I'll show you. Number one, these here are designed to be able to turn the chain without touching it. I don't use it. I just pull the chain like so. This here is the stop. Basically, when you go to line up the disc with the tooth, once you line it up, you'll adjust this little guy here until when wherever your stopper is, it's at the back of the tooth, and it's where you are going to be actually doing the sharpening. Okay, so when it's time to get the blade lined up, what you're looking to do is just get the blade to touch the inside of that tooth, just like so. So if you squeeze the brake, and you can kind of see how it's just touching it, that's what you're looking for. And so once that is ready, you want to put your brake behind it, like so. We're going to go ahead and turn the power on, which is back here. right there. All right, so what you want to do now is you just want to pull the chain back, either with your knob or like as I'm doing, is just pull it up, pull it back so that the back of the tooth hits the brake. You're going to go ahead and squeeze your brake. Oh. I'm gonna try to do this with one hand. All right, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna push that back. Like so. Put the brake on. And we'll go ahead and hit it. Just like so. And if you look at the tooth, you can see that it's been cleaned. All right, so we've got the chain set up in the guide. Now down here, this is gonna be your angle. Now most chains are gonna be 30 degrees, but you're gonna wanna take a look at the packaging of the new chains that you get, or look it up on Google, your specific chain. But most of them I think are gonna be at 30 degrees. In the back here, you're also going to see this knob here. Now this is the stop. I'm actually going to move my little lamp, which by the way, I made this lamp a few years ago. My daughter used it in her bedroom. All it is just a old piece of wood that I built, but it seems to work pretty good in here because I don't have all my lighting set up yet, so we're just using that. Anyways, so this is the stop here. Basically, what you want to do is once you get your measurement, you're going to want to put your stop. You can turn your knob. You can see it in the back there, so that your blade is just touching the tooth there. So you can adjust the stop for that. Now, I've said this a few times. I am not an expert at this, and there are a ton of videos online already on this particular model, but this is just how I'm doing it. I've watched a bunch of videos on it. For the most part, they're simple, they're really simple. And for a guy like me who is out here living it, trying to gain the experience, because we get experience through living it, I have used my kit, which is right here. It takes me a long time, and honestly, I don't do a very good job at manually cutting them. So I have tried a chain that I used this specific sharpener with, and it cuts like butter. I mean, it is really good. And I don't buy expensive chains. To be frankly honest, all of these chains that I'm sharpening right now was a 2-pack at Walmart. I think they're called Tri-Links. They're not the best, but they work. And sharpening them up, and also checking the rake, which I'll show you in just a moment, and filing that down as needed. They work. I mean, I'm not out. I don't do this for a living. This is for us to get firewood and just using it here on the homestead. So for what I use it for, those Tri-Link chains are just fine. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and run this thing, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. I'm gonna try to do this with one hand because I don't have my tripod with me. We'll see how this goes. That's it. And we just go to the next one. All right, so now that I have finished this angled tooth here, now I have to do these, and to do that, we're gonna loosen this up. We're gonna spin this around to 30 degrees this way, tighten it up, if I can do it with one hand. There we go. Yep, that's 30 degrees. And then we're gonna go ahead and cut the other side. And once you're done with both sides, if it was a new chain like this one was that I used and then needed to sharpen, then you're done. If it is a chain that you've been using for a while and you've sharpened a while, then you've got to check the rake. And I'll show you how I've been checking mine. I don't know whether this is right or wrong, but it is giving me the measurement I need to determine whether or not I have to file the rake down. Okay, so basically what we're talking about, this right here, that's your rake. And the purpose of this is what is going into the wood first, and it creates a cavity so that the blade or the tooth here can cut into the next section of wood. Well, you got to make sure that that rake is lower than your teeth. So what I've been doing, we'll move this over a little bit more so it's flat, is I'm taking my flat file and I'm laying it on top of two teeth, and I'm looking at the rake in between those two teeth, and what I'm looking for is a gap. And in this case I can see some air gap there, and it definitely looks to be okay. Now, if this rake was taller than the teeth, then I would want to file that down. But because it's not, in this case, then I'm okay. And I have a friend of mine who has been logging his whole life, it seems like. And basically what he said is, you want to check your rake every time that you are sharpening, but normally you don't really have to file down the rake except for you'll want to file down your rake about every 3 sharpening. So that's kind of what I've been going on, but I am checking the rake every time that I have done it manually with a file. I've sharpened my chains. All right, well, like I said, I'm not an expert in this, but this is just my take on the Harbor Freight Chainsaw Sharpener. I like it. It seems to be pretty easy for me, and you know, like I said, I mean, I could probably learn how to do this manually if I kept doing it, but maybe one day I will. But right now, my focus is on having to use the chainsaw, and so having this little thing here is definitely going to make it a much faster process. Matter of fact, now that I've got this one done, we're going to hang this up with the other chains that I've already finished, and this makes number 6. So no, 1, 2, 3, yeah, that makes number 6. So these 6 chains are ready to go for me to use. I still have a bunch more I got to do, but you can see here, you know, instead of sharpening when we first got here, I was just buying new ones because they're so damn cheap. But now I don't have to buy them because now I've got this really cool, handy dandy sharpener that's going to help me out. And hopefully it helps you out too. Thanks a lot for sticking around watching this video. And if you liked it, hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Hit that little bell for notifications so the next time we release a video, you guys get notified of it. All right, we'll see you on the next one.